Greetings and salutations, good people of the internet. I am the Box Knob Newsy, and today we're talking She-Hulk Attorney at Law. She-Hulk is an MCU Phase 4 TV series that's going to debut on the Disney Plus streaming service on August 17th. It's written and created by Jessica Gao and stars Tatiana Maslany in the title role of Jennifer Walters, aka She-Hulk. Now, there's a lot of commentary going around the internet about this show, and unfortunately a lot of it revolves around the culture war, but we're not going to get into that today because that's just not who I am. Now, if you're not familiar with the character of She-Hulk, she was created back in the day by Stan Lee and John Buscema and debuted in the Savage She-Hulk issue number 1 in November of 1979. Now let's address the elephant in the room first. A lot of people have been commenting about the quality of the CGI in the trailers for this show, and, frankly, it is warranted. Whether we're talking about the specific shade of green of the character as it relates to the lighting in the particular scene, or whether it's the size of her hands and how they're inconsistent from one scene to another, everyone has been noticing issues with the CGI. And look, it's a well-known fact that following the pandemic, visual effects houses are overwhelmed with a huge backlog of work for studios across all of Hollywood. This has caused release delays and, quite frankly, in some cases, rushed work that honestly could be best described as questionable at best. Now, hopefully, the studio is paying attention to some of the feedback about the trailers, specifically the CGI, and maybe we'll get some cleanup work before this actually hits the streaming service. Another potential issue that stands out to me is the episode count. She-Hulk Attorney at Law is only slated to have 9 episodes. Why is this a concern? Because generally this creates a ripe environment for show writers to have to tell rather than show events. Trying to squeeze a lot of information into a limited number of episodes just has a negative effect on pacing and character development overall. Not to mention just making a show less interesting because you're likely to experience events through dialogue that would otherwise make for impactful scenes. And look, it's not a great experience to spend the majority of your time watching characters sit at a table and chat, instead of watching events play out even if it is in the form of a flashback. Basically, using dialogue as exposition in this way to tell the majority of your story just isn't a fun experience for the audience. The other potential downside here is the tendency to try and force too much content into what can be worked through in only those 9 episodes. The best example of this in my mind was Falcon and the Winter Soldier, which was only 6 episodes. But that, my friends, is a topic for another video. So what about the good stuff? Well, let's start with Jessica Gao. Show creator and head writer Jessica Gao previously worked as a writer on Silicon Valley, which is one of my favorite shows of all time. And in case you were wondering, she worked on the first season back in 2014. She also worked as a writer on Rick and Morty as well as Robot Chicken. It's been a while since I felt like the one-liners and overall humor in Marvel shows actually lands with any consistency. So I'm actually super excited to see what Jessica can do with She-Hulk to get the humor back on track. It's safe to say that my expectations for the writing on this show are sky high. One of the big things I'm excited about here is breaking the fourth wall. I'm a big fan of this. If you're not familiar, the fourth wall is the imaginary wall that separates actors from the audience. And breaking the fourth wall is a performance convention that can be used in almost any visual medium that allows characters to speak directly to the audience. In my experience, this is one of the best ways to inject some much needed perspective and potentially brevity into any story. Just like Deadpool, She-Hulk is famous for doing this in the comics, specifically in the sensational She-Hulk books written by John Byrne. I'm hoping Jessica Gao and the other writers will be able to use this convention in place of the aforementioned exposition issue I was talking about. Cameos are another big thing people are talking about after seeing the trailers for this show. Now look, I know some people count cameos as a bad thing because they feel like they're just a cheap attempt at injecting nostalgia into a show, but I feel the opposite way. If it's done well, cameos can connect an IP to other projects, or, as is the case here, an entire universe of IPs. After all, isn't the point of the Marvel Cinematic Universe supposed to be that all these characters and stories are taking place in the same fictional space? If you throw the Eternals to the side, I actually like the idea that all of this is one continuity. In fact, when I first found out we were going to get multiverse stories, I was actually worried this whole thing was going to regress into a catalog of one-offs, effectively breaking the MCU. Now, we already know from the trailers for She-Hulk that Professor Hulk, Abomination, Wong, and Daredevil will be involved. And you know what? I'm here for it. All in all, I'm excited for this show, but I want to know what you think. Did the CGI already scare you away? Were you a fan of the She-Hulk comic books, and you're scared that the show writers are going to ruin one of your favorite characters? Or, like me, are you just looking forward to watching the show? Leave your thoughts in the comments. Obviously, this channel's just starting out, but if you liked what you saw today, do me a solid and hit that like button. If you'd like to see more, do me another solid and hit that subscribe button. If you're the kind of person that likes notifications, go the extra step and hit the bell icon as well. If you didn't like this video, thank you for watching this far, and please feel free to hit that dislike button. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in round 2.